Is the gaming industry on the brink of implosion? With delays, broken promises, and technical mishaps piling up, it's starting to feel like it. From the ongoing drama surrounding PS5 Slim's malfunctioning disc drives to Ubisoft's cancelled Tokyo Game Show presentation, it seems like no company is safe from the fallout. Now we've got the next controversy looming. Rumors that GTA6 will only have a 30 frames per second mode. And guess where that came from? Yep, Digital Foundry. But here's the twist. In their latest video, they finally addressed the uproar by saying, "We cannot confirm, we just think." This whole fiasco started because of them, and now they're backtracking, but the damage is done. It's a perfect storm of uncertainty and speculation, leaving players frustrated. Nothing against them. I do think they are pretty smart, and I did learn a lot from them, but sometimes, in my humble opinion, they don't think about what they're saying or how they are impacting consumer behavior. And again, I don't think they do it with bad intention, but they're looking at consoles with too much skepticism and speculating based on numbers. They were very skeptical about the PS5 Pro before it got out. And now, when they finally had their hands on with the thing, the PS5 Pro is a great piece of hardware. But when I ranted about it 7 months ago, people said, "I am wrong and I am not the expert." And it's true, I am not the expert. And Digital Foundry doesn't work at Sony. But what I'm saying is, as a non-expert, I was right. So, like the video for that. All right, let's get into the main discussions of the day. But first, I got a burning question for y'all. Are you hyped for Indiana Jones? Because to me, it looks a bit janky. What's up with the first-person mode? The whole point of Indiana Jones is to see him in action, right? Honestly, if you ask me, Uncharted 4, a PS4 game, still looks better.
Wrinkles will be transferred into the game that we have. You can see brown rays now. You can see all the wrinkles on the top of it.
And they show some character models, which are seen right now is still in the pre-alpha stage, but they show something like that in depth with such like small details. Like you can see the little hairs on his arm right there, and you can see the veins, and it is just amazing, really. As you guys don't know, I am a huge graphics fan. I'm a graphics freak, all right? It is absolutely crazy what they can do with the PS4's technology, how like literally the little details, and I really like how they're showing how Nathan Drake is really aging, and you can see the white hairs and stuff like that. It is really crazy. Nathan Drake looks so...
This is 9 years ago. On a mobile CPU, what happened to gaming? I want you to write in the comments. What do you think happened here? Do you understand that there was no PC games with these graphics? Let's put it in perspective. Uncharted 4 came out in 2016, right? That's more than 8 years ago. First of all, let's say when you see Indiana Jones in person and it's all polished up. For the sake of argument, let's say that Indiana Jones has superior graphics. Yeah? But do you understand how absurd it is that a game from 2016 still looks better than most games coming out today? This is a game that if I boot it up on my PS4 will still look great, and we have devs that say PS5 is limited in power? Ugh, makes me sick to my stomach. Let's do something else. So, Uncharted 4 came out in 2016, right? Let's compare it to the best flagship game that was 9 to 8 years older than that. So the only thing that comes close to it is actually Uncharted 1. Another third-person action game would be Tomb Raider Anniversary. So these games came out 8 to 9 years before Uncharted 4. Can you even have an argument about comparing these to Drake's Fortune? You'd be sent to a mental institute if you'd even try to compare these games. Yeah. Sorry guys, this just started as a question, but I got carried away again. Better. So let me know if it's just me or you feel the same way. Like every time I saw a trailer of that game, I just wanted to play Uncharted 4 again. Alright, so here's the deal with Assassin's Creed Shadows. Ubisoft has officially delayed its release from November 15th, 2024 to February 14th, 2025. They dropped this news just after PlayStation revealed its upcoming Ghost of Tsushima sequel, Ghost of Yote, which has a similar Japanese setting. There's speculation that Ubisoft didn't want Assassin's Creed Shadows and Ghost of Yote to clash too much, but the official reason given has more to do with Star Wars Outlaws. Ubisoft mentioned that Shadows is technically feature complete, but they've learned from the weaker than expected sales of Star Wars Outlaws and want to take more time to polish Shadows. They're especially focused on ensuring that the game's dual protagonist setup, where you play as Naui and Yasuke, each offering different gameplay styles, lives up to its full potential. One interesting shift is that Assassin's Creed Shadows will be available on Steam from day one, which is a change from Ubisoft's usual release strategy. Plus, Ubisoft is dropping its standard Season Pass model for this game. Instead, everyone will get the game at the same time, and pre-orders will include the first expansion for free. Ubisoft is scrambling to update and improve Outlaws ahead of the holiday season, and they're planning to launch it on Steam on November 21st in hopes of boosting interest. At the same time, Ubisoft is adjusting its financial expectations for the year, lowering its revenue forecast. CEO Yves Guillemot also mentioned that Ubisoft is working on a review to tighten up their strategy and become more efficient. They want to focus on open-world adventures and live service games to keep their business model sustainable. And while there have been some polarized opinions about Ubisoft recently, Guillemot reiterated that they're all about making games for as wide an audience as possible, without pushing any particular agenda. So, with this delay, it seems Ubisoft wants to make sure Assassin's Creed Shadows doesn't follow in the footsteps of Outlaws and delivers a solid experience at launch. But whether it was also influenced by the looming competition with Ghost of Yote is something that people will definitely speculate about, which honestly doesn't make any sense. I completely agree. The drama around Assassin's Creed Shadows is starting to feel like it's spiraling out of control, almost like it's reaching meme status. As someone who's played every Assassin's Creed game, I've never once gone into these games expecting perfect historical accuracy. The series has always taken creative liberties, blending history with fiction to create entertaining experiences, not documentaries. This uproar, especially over the historical aspects, is starting to sound more like conspiracy theories than valid criticism. Ubisoft has always played fast and loose with history, and honestly, that's part of the charm. Tom Henderson got his hands on an internal memo from Ubisoft's CEO, Yves Guillemot, and it's pretty interesting. While corporate memos often have a lot of vague, positive language, Yves actually admitted some things you usually don't hear from executives. First, he mentions Star Wars Outlaws. And while they were happy with its reception, they were aware of certain issues like save problems, stealth mechanics, frequent checkpoints, and brain-dead NPCs. Ubisoft is confident that addressing these will improve the experience. But the real kicker comes when Yves acknowledges that today's gaming audience expects polished games from day one. He says this outright, which is rare. He also explains Ubisoft's decision to delay Assassin's Creed Shadows to February 2025. He doesn't explicitly mention Yasuke, but the memo's polarized coverage refers to the backlash over creative choices. Ubisoft has been criticized for how they handled historical accuracy and even the inclusion of certain modern elements, like the hip-hop music in Yasuke's fight scenes. Ubisoft claims they aren't pushing any agenda and are just trying to appeal to a broad audience, but they clearly didn't expect the drama to blow up like this. With all the negative attention surrounding AC Shadows, it's clear Ubisoft is in a tough spot. Many YouTubers and streamers might avoid covering the game because they don't want to deal with the controversy. Yves seems to realize that, which could explain the game's delay. In the end, Ubisoft is trying to turn things around by promising to polish their games better and make more pro-consumer moves. But it's also clear they can't afford to make any more mistakes, especially with competition being so fierce. Alright, so here's what's going on with the PS5 Slim disk drives. A bunch of users have been reporting issues with their disk drives malfunctioning right after the latest firmware update. Basically, people are finding that they can't install or play games from discs on their PS5 Slims, which is obviously a big problem, especially for those who bought the disc version specifically for physical media. It all started when players like X, formerly Twitter user at JBLV426, noticed that their console couldn't read discs after the update. They confirmed that the issue began only after the update, but the good news is that it seems to be fixable. According to them, a hard reset of the console sorted things out, and they were able to play discs again. Another player on Reddit described a similar experience. In their case, they got a validation error mid-game, and their PS5 Slim ejected the disc. After reinserting it, they were able to keep playing without further issues. This backs up the idea that the malfunction isn't permanent, but it's still a frustrating issue to deal with. Not everyone is being affected, though, so it's not like every PS5 Slim is broken after the update, but the issue seems widespread enough that it's catching people's attention. The problem might be related to the new detachable disk drives, which also require an online connection for setup. That could be complicating things. On top of that, the same update that caused these disk drive issues has apparently been messing with the graphics in some games too. Players have reported glitches and stuttering in titles like Death Stranding and Final Fantasy XVI. Sony and Square Enix are already looking into it, so hopefully a fix will be coming soon.
The only people left on the streets are the sort that enjoy the chaos.
So, rumors are swirling that Rocksteady Studios might be working on a new Batman game. This rumor comes from Xbox era's Nick Baker, who has a decent track record for insider gaming scoops. But there's more. According to Baker, Sony might be pushing to make this potential Batman game a PlayStation exclusive. Fans are hyped at the idea of a new Batman game, but there's also a lot of hesitation. For one, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League was an absolute flop. Criticism hit hard over its live service approach, poorly handled characters, even Batman, and gameplay issues. Because of this, the studio is already under a lot of scrutiny, and the question is whether they can recapture the magic of their Arkham games from the 2010s. As for the details on this new game, right now, it's all speculation. It's not a remaster or a reboot of the Arkham series, so fans are hopeful for something new. Some are even calling for a Batman Beyond game set in the futuristic, neon-lit Neo-Gotham. Others want to see an ambitious Batman versus Superman showdown, but that seems like a long shot. Then there's the rumor of PlayStation exclusivity, which has some fans worried. In an industry already debating the pros and cons of platform exclusives, this potential move could be controversial. On top of that, with key developers from the Arkham series having left Rocksteady, and with the shadow of Suicide Squad, some are wondering if Rocksteady is even the right studio to handle a new Batman game. Whether they can recapture the brilliance of their past success remains to be seen. At Sony's recent State of Play event, Palworld, the quirky open-world monster taming game, made a surprise appearance with the announcement that it's now available on PS5. But there's a catch. Despite being released in 68 countries, the game's PlayStation 5 version is skipping Japan indefinitely. Pocket Pair, the game's developer, acknowledged the delay in Japan, apologizing to Japanese fans and promising to deliver the game to them as soon as possible. While Palworld is available in Japan on both Xbox Series X and PC, the absence of a PS5 release has raised eyebrows. Many are speculating that this delay could be linked to a lawsuit recently filed by Nintendo against Pocket Pair. Although details of the lawsuit are still unclear, some believe that Nintendo is claiming Palworld infringes on patents related to Pokémon, particularly involving mechanics like throwing Pokeballs. Given Palworld's resemblance to Pokémon in its monster catching and battling system, this connection seems plausible. Nintendo is known to hold several patents in the gaming space, and they've been willing to defend them aggressively in the past. While some speculate that the lawsuit might revolve around something as specific as Pokemon's catching mechanics, it's hard to say what exactly Nintendo is alleging without more details. The lawsuit is also expected to be a lengthy process, with some experts predicting that it could drag on for as long as 5 years rather than being a quick resolution. In the meantime, Palworld's Japanese PS5 release remains in limbo, leaving fans of the game frustrated. The reveal of Ghost of Tsushima 2, set several centuries after the events of Ghost of Tsushima, has left some fans a bit unsettled, as it seems that protagonist Jin Sakai is being left behind. But before you mourn his absence, there's more to the story. Sony reportedly has bigger plans for the Ghost series, aiming to turn it into a much larger franchise with multiple spin-offs already in the works. According to a report from the New York Times, Sucker Punch Productions is expanding the Ghost universe beyond just games. Reporter Zachary Small mentioned that Ghost of Yote is only the beginning of this larger initiative, which will include at least one movie and possibly other forms of media. The series is being positioned alongside some of Sony's biggest PlayStation franchises like God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn. What form these spin-offs will take remains to be seen. Given Sucker Punch's past work with the infamous series, where they released a standalone expansion, First Light, it wouldn't be surprising to see similar treatments for Ghost of Tsushima. Other studios, such as Insomniac with Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Naughty Dog with Uncharted, Lost Legacy, have followed this trend, releasing standalone titles that complement the main series. However, it's also worth noting that the spin-offs might not all be in game form. They could take shape as graphic novels, board games, or even something completely different. A film adaptation has been in development for a while, and there are rumors that Hiroyuki Sanada, who starred in Shogun, is in talks to take on a leading role in the upcoming Ghost of Tsushima movie. While Jin Sakai might not be the central figure in Ghost of Yote, Sony's plans suggest that the world of Ghost is far from finished, with the potential for new stories, characters, and experiences in various forms of media. Fans of the series can look forward to what comes next, knowing the franchise will be expanding in exciting direction. Alrighty then, this is the fun part of the video. This is where we discuss a bit more, and I give you more of my personal takes on what's going on with the gaming industry, with PS5 Pro versus $5,000 PCs. Respond to some comments and sprinkle in some personal stories. Now you might be asking, why do I do this in the end of the video? Because the haters and trolls leave midway through anyway, and the true supporters stick till the end. So let's have some fun, shall we? So this is from the previous video on the topic of PS5 Pro might actually be comparable to a 4070. Funny part is the guy didn't even realize I agree with him. He said, doesn't matter because PSSR is inferior to DLSS for 4K gaming, and Nvidia's ray tracing is superior to the Pros. Blah blah blah, you know the drill. Honestly, it doesn't really matter, man. The price to performance ratio on the PS5 Pro is great. With my base PS5, I've got a 55-inch TV, and games running at 1440p 60 from a few meters away look sharp. To be honest, I even prefer 1080p 60 FPS over 4K 30 FPS for smoother gameplay. But if I want a sharp screenshot, yeah, I'll switch it to fidelity mode. Overall, when you consider the PS5 Pro's price and performance, it's pretty solid. The fact that people keep bringing up the 4070 for comparison is really, for lack of a better word, a testament to that. Just don't expect it to compete with a $3,000 PC, and don't expect native 4K. Consoles aren't about that. Even 99% of PC gamers don't play in native 4K because it's just a waste of resources. But there's also a cool story I want to share with you guys that I think PC gamers just don't understand. I use mouse and keyboard for 95% of all my games, and I use an ultra-wide screen, so no amount of PS5 would make me switch. As far as PSSR being an advantage over PC, is DLSS not a thing anymore? Look, that's great, man. Your needs are being met. Console gamers prefer the couch, that's it. But most people don't care about ultra-wide. I used to game on PC for a long time. When I first bought my PlayStation 4, I skipped the PlayStation 3 generation. The controller was a nightmare for me. I was so bad at gaming. When I got prompted to press square or press L1 to parry, I was looking for the buttons. I literally died in the tutorials. And don't get me started on aiming. I was so frustrated that I didn't touch the console for a week. But I kept thinking, I bought the PS4 for Uncharted 4. That game looks unreal. That game looks unreal. I forced myself for days just to relearn gaming, and I fell in love. Fast forward to today, I can't go back to mouse and keyboard. This is a true story, by the way.